Well, hello and welcome to the Learn Podcast Production Podcast. Hey, thank you so much for joining me. Hey, if you're here, you're with me on 100 episodes, and yeah, let's do some fireworks. Yeah, let's do some fireworks. These are actually some fireworks I personally recorded in my backyard on the 4th of July, so they're special fireworks. Hey, I just want to say thank you for those who've been sticking around. I enjoy doing this with you, and thank you for your comments. Thank you for your feedback. There's some individuals out there who I've really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed getting to know some of you. And so, anyways, I don't know. I don't want to blah too long on that. I just want to say thank you so much. If you and I have talked on this show, I want to say thank you to those who we've connected. So. I'm not real clear on that, so I'm just going to move on since I'm babbling. Hey, we're talking about, we're on the episode 2 or roundish number 2 of noise reduction. And last week we talked about in a video series as well. We talked about how to reduce hiss in a track. So we've got this track here. We have an airplane sound, and I just combined the airplane sound with a very clean recorded track just to show you, so we have very clear results on what's noise and what's voice and how to get rid of the noise. So we also have the airplane ding sound that you all know and love. We'll be removing some of that today. Let's hear that sound. Here we go. I know, what a nice sound. And if we get to it, we're also going to go over a hum. We have a 60 hertz hum that comes in right here. Ready? Here we go.
All the way to the max. Start playing with the threshold, and as you start to bring it down.
And I got to say, I've heard better 60 hertz hums, but it's what I got for you today, and it'll come out just the same as any other 60 hertz hum. So we'll handle both of those. How to reduce the noise on that. I'll also say, this track has already been reduced from last time. I've reduced the hiss by 15 decibels using Izotope's denoise. I've only used that on this and the dialogue denoise plugin. This is RX5, not the new fancy RX6. So RX6 is quite amazing. We're still on 5, so there you go. So, and I just want to thank John, by the way, recently for talking to me about RX6 because, hey, it is pretty sweet. So, hey, anyways, back to this. This is let's talk about. Here we go. Let's talk about, if I can get my words out, how to remove a ding and a handful of ways to remove sounds from audio. There isn't one straightforward way to take care of sounds within audio. It depends on the sound. It honestly, I swear, it depends on the mood of the day. But I'm going to show you a handful of ways and methods. And hopefully that helps you to, hopefully that helps you. So let's look at this. We have this ding. I've got markers around it. You can see it very clearly. We have a spectral view. So let's first talk about spectral. So I took it off. This is only the waveform. Now for those listening, this is the classic waveform view. A waveform view is simply, the audio waveform that you always see, kind of the bumpy, expands and contracts, kind of like a waveform. That is all that we're looking at. The spectral view is, at least that's the way they're talking about it in Adobe, how it's named in Adobe. But generally, you can. This one we have the spectral frequency display is what they're calling it. Other software, even Audacity has a spectral view. If you click on their header track, they'll have that available for you. But really nice to show waveform on top of spectral. Love that. And Adobe, one of the reasons why Audition is one of the big deals when it comes to noise reduction is because of this view. So that's a huge bonus. So here's how we can deal with this. Okay, we can well, let's listen to it first. So we're gonna go a little bit before and just listen.
It is the thing that I changed the least.
So if you look at that, you'll notice that, the first thing I look for, I'll say it that way. The first thing I'm going to look for is whether or not the noise is by itself or if there's voice on top of it. If you find the voice by itself, you're going to do a lot better. If the voice is on top or whatever sounds you want to maintain versus the noise you want to take out or remove, if they're both combined and you don't have a section where the noise does not combine with the dialogue or what you want to keep in, that's going to be more difficult than if the noise, which you want to remove, is separate with nothing over it. It's just by itself. A lot of times cell phone rings or something like that, people will stop for a second and be, oh, I'm sorry about that. And generally there'll be this quick minute, if you get lucky, of the sound by itself. That is ideal. You want that sound by itself. But if you don't have that, then there's other ways to do it, especially with the spectral. That helps a lot for that. So let's talk about what you would do if it was by itself. So I'm going to pretend, because we're looking at this spectral view. For those who can see, who are listening, I'm looking at the spectral view, and I can clearly see that the ding, this real hot mark, kind of looks like a hot line right in the middle. And we're at 400 hertz here, something like that. Almost 500, 480. So this is a 480 hertz ding. The beauty of this is you don't see harmonics. You just see one. When you see harmonics, you know it's going to be a lot harder. Not always, but sometimes. So when it's just solo by itself, that is a great thing. Now I also see that you can see the dialogue, just like any dialogue you normally see in a spectral view. It's pretty clear where the dialogue is. And dialogue generally runs between 250 and 4K-ish, but then with the sibilants up to nearly 10K sometimes. So, but the meat and potatoes of it is just right up to 4,000 hertz. So I can see the dialogue. For those watching, I'm going to highlight dialogue there. I'm going to highlight some dialogue there. So you can see the dialogue. There's this small chunk where you can hear where he kind of takes a breath and the ding is going under that. I'll play that.
The thing that I changed
So right after the thing that I changed. Now he's breathing, so we know there's some of his sound in there. It's not perfect. But one thing you can do, and you could do this if you didn't have the spectral view, if you were just going, it's harder to find, but if you're going in just the waveform view, you could simply go take that and you can go to effects. And if you have some sort of sound remover, now sound remover and a noise reduction are two entirely different things. So a sound remover is a lot more drastic. Sound remover is like, take it out now. Like that, like the purpose of a sound remover is to take that exact frequency and just say goodbye to it. The entire sound is not trying to gently lower the amount of the sound. It's just like goodbye. And it is very, very harsh. And it works a little bit differently as far as I know, it works a little bit differently. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight. We have a section of silence, as I've decided. Let's play our little silence section. Yeah, that sounds like mostly silence and hiss, right? So we're going to learn the sound model, and it's going to tell me to change my FFT size. So we'll try 1024, and at 1024 it took it. So if you're using the Adobe Audition sound remover, the best place to grab that is, or the best setting that I found is on the default. And I've rarely strayed away from the default. Every time I stray away, I always just make worse sounds. The best place is default as far as I found. I will say, however, that Adobe has some really good information and tutorials on how to do that really well. So as far as sound remover or sound noise reduction, they have got some really good tutorials. So what we do is we take that and we say we learn the sound model, right? What happened, huh? That changed. Okay, we're going to go back, even though we already learned it. Okay, learn sound model. And then I'm going to highlight my entire ding area. And you can hear, as I played it, that's giving me an idea. That just totally removed it. So I'm going to apply. And if you're watching the waveform, it just takes a chunk right out of the middle out. So I'm going to open up spectral and we can see that that's completely gone. Here's with it and here's without. So in spectral, I can get really close and I can look and I can see, you can just get right up to the line of that. of that noise, and then you can apply the noise reduction. Now, if you've already opened up the noise or the sound remover, you can just apply again. It remembers that noise print that you had last time, which is kind of cool. So let's play it. Let's see how it sounds.
It is the thing that I changed the least. All right.
So there we go. It took it out, but I will also say it's fairly dramatic. And not only did it take that out, but it also took all that hiss out. So it's not consistent. So yes, it's gone. And if it was an offensive sound or something like that, like it's not there. So that's better. But it kind of sounds weird. It's very obvious we've taken this out, right? Let's play a chunk here.
Parameter of mine. It is the thing that I changed the least.
Yeah, it just took it out and it's kind of weird. I'm going to undo that. I don't personally like that. If we had to deal with that, we could deal with that, but we're not going to. So another way to do this is to highlight the actual section. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose the marquee selection tool. We're going to go into the spectral view, and we're going to, which we're in, and we're going to kind of just zoom in right around that actual sound, and we're going to put a box around the sound. You can clearly see the sound. Some sounds are not as easy to see visibly, even on the spectral view. If that's the case, like I've got an airplane going above the head, and my head, and I've got a window open, so you might hear that. That's going to be a lot harder to take out. But in this case, it's just this very, very small area. So this is really clear, very clear. I'm going to zoom in. And you can get right up to the line. I'll warn you, if you get too close to the line, sometimes sometimes it gets a little funky. Sometimes it's good to leave a little bit buffer around. But I'm going to try to get exactly that. We're going to go back into our sound remover, and we're going to learn the sound model. But now we're only learning this exact sound. We're not taking out the hiss. It's not thinking the hiss is bad things. It's just saying we're going to remove that. Another thing you can do, turn this sound remover off. Another thing you can do is you can highlight the box and just play it by itself. So if you're not sure that's the sound, if you're trying to find the sound, sometimes, not always, sometimes it's really handy to just play and find it just by putting a box and highlighting the frequencies. Now, if you do that, you have to go into your preferences, and you need to, let's see, preferences, and we're going to go into probably spectral displays. And in spectral displays, it says play only selected frequencies when a spectral frequency selection exists. Whew. So if you do that, then it will only play this. If I don't think it comes that way default. So the noise sound remover is off right now. We're not going to hear that. So I'm going to play just this frequency alone, just the sound itself with a box around it. Here, let me close this, see if it works. Interesting, huh? So that's what it is by itself. Obviously, that's pretty close to the sound. If you listen to it by itself, I won't do that because that'll take a lot of time. But if you listened to it by itself, then it'd be pretty clear that that's pretty much the sound. So we've learned the sound model. I'm going to now unhighlight. I could keep that highlighted, but I trust my process here. I'm going to highlight everything around that sound. So the whole frequency spectrum and a little bit on each side. And I'm going to apply this FFT filter, or this noise reduction. Noise reduction? What do they call this thing? Effects. Sound remover. Okay, so let's play this. You can see the spectral view. There's a huge hole in the middle of our content, and we're going to play this. Let's hear it.
It is the thing that I changed the least.
So it's there. You can clearly hear it, though. It's not as bad as last time, but there still is a change. Let's listen again.
Of mine, it is the thing that I changed the least.
Now, if this happened and that's all I had, I might try to go in a bigger box around there, and I might simply try to do auto heal. So I'm going to go auto heal, and I have it on a quick key. And let's listen to that. It looks like it's about the same, but sometimes you get lucky.
It is the thing that I changed the least.
Not a huge help. I'm just going to dump it. So what if I don't like that? I mean, sometimes that really works. I have a video on YouTube here about how to remove Skype garble. This process works really well with Skype garble. but I'm really not liking it with I'm just not liking it with this bell. So I'm hoping we can do better. So I'm going to undo. We're going to pull back in that ding. So now we've tried two ways. We've said one, we can do the sound remover on the whole area. We can do the sound remover on just a selective frequency. Neither of those I've liked too much. Now you can, if you want to reduce a little bit, you can also try to highlight the section or the whole area, just like we did with the sound remover. And I'm going to pull up a denoise. So let's pretend we're going to learn with the dialogue denoise. So there we go. I'm learning. I'm just going to turn this up all the way. And then I'm going to highlight the area. We're going to apply a dialogue denoise. I just want you guys to see it. So it's 25 dB. I pulled it right in on that section. Here's how the noise reduction sounded.
The thing that I changed the least.
It almost feels like it brings the sound out more. It doesn't, but it's a mess. So again, sound remover or some sort of hiss, denoising, not so much for these real specific clear noises. Okay, so now we've tried both of those methods, or three methods now. Now I'm going to zoom back in on this again. So it kind of looks like an Atari spaceship right now for those listening, and I'm putting a square right around that noise again. Let's listen. I'm right around there, and I'm just going to do what the first thing that I would do if I ever grab this, if we're at real life and I was just going for this, the first thing I'd probably try is to silence it. So that's in, I think, effect, silence, and I have it on a quick key. If I were just to silence that, it leaves a hole, but not quite the hole that the noise reduction or noise. I don't know if I'm going to get those two right, guys. I don't know if I'm going to do the sound remover. I just had to look at it. The sound remover. So I feel like it's not as wide as a sound remover, but let's try this. So I'm going to play this here, and
the thing that I changed the least.
Wow. So that was really clean. Let's play it again.
The thing that I changed the least.
You can kind of hear it right at the beginning. You kind of hear this whoo sound right here.
The thing that
it's like a whoosh sound. So if I had that issue, I might try to do the same thing, but just a little bit wider around. So I did a really narrow cut, a really narrow silence. So when you're silencing the spectral view, that's basically an FFT filter. And you're just, but what you're doing is you're just saying, I am taking out this selective frequency only. I don't want it to be smooth. I just want that frequency gone. And with FFT, I'm saying that's what the FFT, one of the functions that the FFT filter does. So I'm going to do that again, just a little bit wider. I'm going to just take out a little bit of sideness here, and let's play that.
Thing that I changed.
That didn't really help, did it? So one other thing, we talked about this before, is auto heal. Auto heal is nice and nice and smooth. So I'm going to go auto heal, and I've got on a quick key. For those who want to know, I believe it's again in effects and auto heal selection. Yes. So let's try that. I've just auto healed that first whoosh part.
Thing that I changed.
Not bad. What if I auto heal the entire frequency range? Let's just try that just to hear. Where's my whoosh? Right here, I think. So we just auto heal the whole frequency area, not just a selected bandwidth.
That I changed.
That's pretty smooth.
It is the thing that I changed the least.
So you can kind of hear that frequency range go out and come back in too if you listen.
It is the thing that I changed the least.
So you hear one thing about deleting, removing content is you're going to, especially when it's in the vocal range, you're really going to hear that. Now it depends on where your frequency is. I mean, if you're under, 100 hertz, you're doing wonderful because nobody hears that, right? So, you can just cut that under a vocal, unless of course, you've got some music that you're trying to remove the sound from. So we did pretty good with that method, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to undo all of that work that we just did. And I'll be honest, I'm pretty good with that. If that was gone, I would be happy with that. But one other thing to do is I would box it in and just press the A. Well, I have A auto heal. What they have a command U or something too. So auto heal the selection. Auto healing tries to intelligently decide what's around it and remove what's around and remove some things. And you just never know what you're going to get. Sometimes it figures it out. Sometimes it accentuates the problem. So I've just selected a frequency range just around that problem. And by the way, if you just select the problem, it's probably going to think that the problem is the content that needs to stay in there. So I think that's what it did this time. Let's listen.
Is the thing that I changed the...
And then without the auto heal.
Thing that I changed the...
Maybe a little bit better. You could try to auto heal the whole selection. It's probably too long for auto heal, but let's try it. Oh, yeah, it did it. Let's listen with auto healing. We auto heal the entire frequency range from start to stop of our ding.
It is the thing that I changed the least.
So we kind of removed more vocal than ding on that one. So it looks like in this case, the best bet is to simply grab our sound and box it in and remove it. Now, but remove it by sound remover. So we're turning it down, silencing it. Another way of dealing with this is the lasso selection tool, which helps you to make a little bit more specific selections here. So I just try to lasso that in. And now if you silence, you can actually silence what you've drawn in. So you can draw in, you don't have to use the box. So I kind of drew it in because it starts out big and gets smaller. So we'll listen to that.
Thing that I changed the...
Not too shabby. And then another thing I should tell you, another way of getting rid of stuff that can at times be just really handy, but not always, is for when you can paint brush selection. But if you do the spot healing brush tool, you can just paint in like you're in Photoshop, and it's an auto heal. So if you paint it in and getting spaceshipy here, let's see how we do. Oh, it did okay. Let's listen to that.
It is the thing that I changed the...
It's better, right? So sometimes multiple passes. So let's paint in again. And we're still about the same. I can just look at it. I'll try one more time. It's better. Let's listen.
Is the thing that I changed the...
Yeah, we're getting better. So maybe you might potentially, with multiple shots at that, maybe you could do really well. So if I just kept on going, I did 18 of these or something like that, you might do all right.
I changed the...
Maybe. I keep going. Where the regular day, I would probably either paint in or box in, select it somehow, and then and then silence that.
Is the thing that I changed the...
So I just highlighted that, and then I with the paintbrush tool that last time, and just silenced the sound. So that is, my friends, that is how you get rid of the ding, the airplane ding. I know you've been wanting to know. Everybody wants to know how to get rid of an airplane ding. Hopefully that didn't bore you. Wasn't too much too dingy. Okay, so that's we're doing pretty good. We've got a great time here, but I think looking at it, looks like we're about ready to wrap this one up. We will save the hum for next time. Next time we'll work on how to remove 60 hertz hum. If you don't know, if you haven't been there, 60 hertz hum can be no fun. And it's just nice to know a couple of strategies. And we'll also show you a tool that we could have used today, but didn't, and how you could use that on hum, and we could have used it on the ding as well. So we'll pull in another tool. We'll also hopefully open up the FFT filter. If I remember that, we'll actually open up one of those and have a good time. So thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you don't know I would just want to thank you to Chris for purchasing the Learn Podcast Production class course, and he's been very helpful in giving me some feedback. Go grab it and let me know what you think. The purpose is to not only teach you Adobe, but also so that you can move very, very quickly. So if you're doing a business with podcasting, if you're making money in any way doing spoken word voice, especially, some sort of dialogue, but especially podcast production, this is how to do it. Do it quickly and do it so you know how to do it. So you know you're doing enough and you know you're doing it right. And I hope you enjoy it. So that is it. Please check that out. All the links are below and to that course. Otherwise, please go out and make the world sound great.